You know that moment when we walk into the room, look at our favorite little plant, and just feel that something's wrong? A leaf has fallen, the color looks off, and our heart sinks. But I took care of it with so much love, we think. And that's where the danger lies. Often, without realizing it, we are the ones causing their suffering, not out of neglect, but through small, quiet mistakes that build up over time. I've made plenty of those mistakes myself, and I admit, I've cried over a few losses. But I've also learned from each one, and now I want to share all of it with you, my dear friends, so no more little plants have to suffer from well-meaning carelessness. After all, taking care of plants is like taking care of the soul. It requires presence, attention, and patience. And when we get it right, they give back so much beauty. Even the grayest day feels colorful. That's why I've put together a list of the 10 most common mistakes we make when taking care of our plants. Even when we think we're doing everything right. And trust me, some of them are surprising. So grab a pen and paper, settle in with your favorite drink, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because there's so much more good stuff coming. Mistake number 1, overwatering, thinking you're helping. Oh, this one's sneaky, right? We look at the plant, feel the heat of the day, and think, poor thing, she must be thirsty. And there we go, watering again. At first, it looks happy. The leaves are lush, the soil smells nice. But the problem starts when all that water builds up down below, where we can't see. The roots get soaked, can't breathe, and begin to rot in silence. It's a kind of suffocation the plant can't tell you about. Until it's too late. I lost a gorgeous fern that way. It was my little buddy on the porch, so green and full of life. One day the leaves started turning yellow, then limp, and finally, they all fell off. When I took it out of the pot, the smell was sour, the soil was like mud, and the roots were dark and mushy. It hurt so much, all because of misplaced love. We think more water means more life, but that's not quite true. The secret is understanding your plant's rhythm. Stick your finger in the soil, feel if it's still moist. Observe how it behaves on hot or cloudy days. Every species has its own thirst level, and every pot drains differently. So before watering, ask the plant with your eyes, with your touch. And remember, it's better to underwater a little than to drown the poor thing. The right kind of love respects the other's timing. Mistakes are 2, putting the plant in the wrong spot at home. Sometimes, all a plant needs to thrive is the right spot. But we, wanting to put it by the window, on the table, or on that cute shelf, forget to ask, does it like direct sunlight? Or does it prefer soft light without the heat? Some plants are like us in the summer. They love shade and get cranky when the sun hits too hard. Others wilt if they don't feel the light touching their leaves. I remember my first orchid. Gorgeous, snow white, straight out of a magazine. I placed it on the living room shelf, away from the window, thinking it was a protected spot. Within weeks, the flowers dropped, the leaves turned dull, and it started to wither. I only found out later that orchids love light, but can't stand direct heat. I moved it to a window with a sheer curtain, and 2 months later, a new little shoot popped up. I almost cried with joy. The right spot changes everything. It's not enough to look pretty. It has to feel good for the plant. Before picking the perfect pot, think about the lighting, the airflow, even the air's humidity. A fern loves the steamy vibe of a bathroom, while a cactus thrives on a sunny balcony. Get to know your plant's nature. Do a little research, or ask someone more experienced. Over time, you learn to read the signs. And when your plant smiles back at you, oh, that's priceless. Mistake number 3, choosing the wrong pot without realizing it. This one's so common it almost goes unnoticed. We go to the store, fall in love with a beautiful pot, painted ceramic, glass, even some metal ones that look like jewelry, and immediately think of the decor. But what many forget is that before being pretty, the pot needs to be functional. It's the plant's home, and if it doesn't have a good exit door for water, my friend, the roots become easy victims of rot. I once fell for a red glass pot. I placed my pothos in it, all excited, but the pot didn't have any drainage holes. In just a few days, the soil was heavy, too wet, and the leaf tips started turning dark. I only noticed the problem when I smelled mildew. I had to take everything out, clean the roots one by one, and repot. It was a whole ordeal, and I almost lost my green buddy. All because I went for looks over what the plant really needed. So, here's something I've learned. The pot needs good drainage, holes at the bottom, pebbles underneath, maybe even a little tray to keep things clean. It all matters. And if you fall for a gorgeous pot without holes, just use a perforated plastic pot inside it. That way your plant can breathe. And you still get the aesthetic. Because yes, beauty matters, but not more than the life growing inside. Mistake number 4, pruning at the wrong time or the wrong way. Oh, girls. One thing we need to learn is that pruning can be a friend, but it can also be the enemy if done carelessly. Pruning is like cutting someone's hair. It needs purpose, timing, and a gentle hand. A lot of people think they can just snip off dry leaves, crooked branches, or wilted flowers. But without understanding the plant's cycle, it might do more harm than good. Once, my neighbor pruned her rose bush in the middle of summer under the blazing sun. She wanted to tidy it up for weekend guests. What happened? The rose bush got stressed, the leaves burned, and all the buds that were about to bloom shriveled. I felt so bad watching it. Roses, for example, need pruning at the end of winter or start of spring, when they're waking up from rest. And always with clean tools, or they catch fungus. Another common mistake is cutting too much, thinking the plant will renew itself. But every branch, every leaf, has a purpose. If we cut without thinking, the plant loses energy and gets confused. So always observe. If a branch is diseased, rotten, or dry, then yes, cut it with confidence. If not, go slow. Pruning is a farce, silent conversation with your plant, an invitation for it to grow stronger, not a punishment, and that changes everything. Mistake number 5, repotting at the wrong time or unnecessarily. That urge to repot all the time. I used to be like that. I thought every time the plant stopped growing, it meant it needed a bigger pot. Off I went, buying fresh soil, picking a cute pot, doing the whole repotting thing. But instead of thriving, the plant looked lost, sluggish, and sometimes didn't make it. It took me time, and a few losses, to understand. Not every plant wants a new home all the time. Imagine you're sleeping peacefully, and someone moves you to a different bed in the middle of the night. No warning. That's how a plant feels. Repotting is delicate and should only happen when necessary. When roots are coming out of the pot, when the soil's lost all nutrients, or when the pot is truly too small. Otherwise, it's better to leave it be, cozy in its space. And if repotting is needed, do it gently. Never during extreme heat or cold, because the plant's already under stress. Choose good quality soil. Keep part of the old mix, and don't bury the plant too deep in the new pot. After that, Avoid heavy watering for a few days. It needs time to settle in. With care and respect for its timing, repotting becomes a fresh start, not a trauma. Mistake number 6, ignoring the signs your plant gives. Oh, my friend. One thing I've learned over the years is that plants speak. Not with words, of course, but with quiet gestures. A leaf that slowly turns yellow, a dry tip, a stem that leans. All of these are ways it tells us something's off, and often we don't notice because we're busy. Or we just think it's normal. But it's not. It's asking for help. And it's up to us to listen with our hearts. I remember a violet my grandson gave me. At first, it bloomed beautifully, but then it started wilting, leaf by leaf. I thought, maybe it's the weather, maybe the cold. But it was more than that. When I really looked, I saw the soil was hard as a rock. It couldn't absorb water anymore. Just loosening the soil, swapping some of the mix, and moving it to a new spot made her perk right back up. It was like she said, "Thanks, Grandma." Every plant has its own way. Some open up to the sun, others hide in shade. Some grow in quiet, others bloom in celebration, and all of them give us signs of how they feel. If we pay attention with care, we notice everything. Leaf color, texture, even the smell of the soil. Ignoring these signs is like turning away from a friend silently, crying. And we wouldn't do that, would we? Plants feel too, and they teach us every day to listen with more sensitivity. Mistake number 7, using any kind of soil, thinking, it's all the same. Oh, how many times I've heard this. It's just dirt. You can plant in any soil and it'll work. But listen, this is one of those little lies that slowly kill our plants. Soil isn't just a support. It's food, comfort, home. And every plant has different needs. What works for a succulent, for instance, might smother a fern. It's like serving feijoada to someone who can only eat soup. The body can't handle it. I clearly remember the time I planted a cactus in rich, dark, moist garden soil. I thought it would grow strong and beautiful. But in just a few days, it started shriveling and went all limp. It was too much moisture, folks. Cacti need well-draining soil with coarse sand mixed in, so water doesn't linger. Azaleas, on the other hand, like more acidic, light, breathable soil. And so it goes, each plant with its own taste. That's why every time you plant or replant, it's worth doing a little research first. Ask around, read up, or just observe where it thrives best. Nowadays, there are ready-made mixes for different plant types. And it's not extra, it's real care. Because no, soil is not all the same. It's like a cake base. If you mess it up, the rest falls apart. And the plant, poor thing, pays the price for that oversight, so let's care with more intention, shall we? Mistake number 8. Over-fertilizing, thinking it'll speed up growth. Oh, this is a classic. Who hasn't thought, if a little fertilizer is good, a bit more must be even better? Sounds logical, right? But it's not. Plants don't work like us popping extra vitamins. They have their own pace, and forcing it can be fatal. Too much fertilizer burns the roots, alters the soil's pH, and can even poison the plant. It's like trying to make a baby run before it's learned to crawl. Remember a gorgeous wine-colored begonia I had, soft as velvet. One day someone told me if I fertilized it every week, it'd get even fuller. I got all excited, bought liquid fertilizer, and started using it without measuring much. Within 2 weeks, the leaves were blotchy and dry around the edges. By the time I realized what was happening, it was too late. Poor thing was burning from the inside out, all from a well-meaning overdose. Now I can say for sure, Less is more. Most plants only need feeding every 30 to 45 days, and in small doses. Always read the label, dilute it well, and if possible, go for organic fertilizers. They're gentler and more balanced. And observe the plant. If it's doing well, growing healthily. Maybe it doesn't even need fertilizer for a while. The secret isn't rushing things. It's flowing with nature's rhythm. That way, it grows happy, in its own time. Mistake number 9. Forgetting about ventilation and turning your home into a stuffy oven. Ladies, this is one of those mistakes we don't even notice until the plant looks sad, droopy leaves, burnt tips, and we can't figure out why. We water properly, pick a nice pot, place it in the right light, but forget something essential. Air. Plants need to breathe. They need wind, airflow, even if just a gentle breeze. Without ventilation, warm air builds up, moisture gets trapped, and fungi. Oh, they love a muggy greenhouse. I had a little herb corner in the kitchen. Rosemary, basil, mint, all well cared for, right by the window. But since it was winter, I kept everything shut to keep the cold out. What happened? In just a few days, the basil leaves looked spotted like mold. The mint lost its smell and the rosemary wilted. That's when I realized, without air circulation, plants suffocate. Light and water aren't enough. Air has to flow. Now I open the windows every day, even if just for half an hour. I let the wind chat with the plants, bring relief, scare off the mildew. And the difference is huge. The leaves stand firmer, the green is brighter. You don't need a strong draft. Just a light breeze helps a lot. And if your home's really closed off, you can even use a small fan now and then. Because a happy plant is one that breathes, just like us. Mistake number 10. Ignoring pests early on and letting them spread silently. Oh, this one hurts just remembering. Because when we realize what's happening, it's often too late. Those little white balls on the stem, the spots on the leaves, the dark dust on the soil. All signs. Signs that some tiny critter is feeding off our plant. And the worst part is, in the beginning, we think it's nothing. I'll check it later, we say. But nature doesn't wait. Once a pest settles in, it spreads quickly and quietly. I lost a gorgeous anthurium to this. It started with some faint spots on the leaves. I thought it was sunburn. I didn't pay much attention. A few days later, little white cottony things showed up. It was mealybugs, and they had already spread to the roots. I tried everything. Mild soap, neem oil. But it was too late. The plant withered, even with all my care. That's when I learned. Acting fast can save lives. Literally. Now I do a quick check of all my plants once a week. I look under the leaves, along the stems, at the base of the soil. And if I spot anything weird, I clean it up right away. A damp cloth, a little homemade spray. Done. The earlier we act, the easier it is to control. No need to get paranoid. Just care enough to be present, to notice. Because ignoring a pest is like a drip from the ceiling. Seems harmless at first, until it becomes real damage. My dear friends, if you've made it this far, I want to say something from the bottom of my heart. Taking care of plants is more than a task. It's an act of love, of listening, of presence. We make mistakes, yes, and sometimes we mess up while trying to do our best. But each mistake is a chance to learn, to grow with them, to understand that nature has its own time, and our role is to accompany, not control. None of us were born knowing. We all learned through life, through stumbles, and of course, from each other. I myself have made all of these mistakes, and maybe you have too. And that's okay, because the most beautiful thing is seeing that we're willing to do better, that we still get emotional over a new sprout, a surprise bloom, a leaf dancing in the wind. Plants give back our care in the form of beauty, freshness, and life pulsing in every corner of the home. And that, my friend, is a gift beyond price. So if any of your little plants are looking a bit sad, don't blame yourself. Go back, observe, talk to them. Review these mistakes with love, and turn each one into a new beginning. And if this video helped you, brought some clarity, or simply kept you company, subscribe to the channel. There are so many more stories, tips, and green life to share. And remember, when we care for a plant, we also learn to care for ourselves. Until next time, my flowers.